When you have Pete Webber on a show, anything can happen. But standing in his way are Jason Couch, the PBA's newest millionaire. Roger Bowker, his last title was in 1998 and is ready for another. Jason Hurd, still searching for singles title number 1. And Wayne Webb, this Hall of Famer, is looking for title number 21. And we welcome you to Burlington, North Carolina for the PBA Columbia 300 Tar Heel Open, coming your way from the Country Club Lanes West in Burlington, North Carolina. We've got a dandy on tap for you this afternoon, along with 12-time winner on the PBA Tour, Randy Peterson. I'm Ron Thulin. Let's take a look at our Alka-Seltzer brackets and see how things are going to shape up for this afternoon. Our wild card match will be up first. Jason Hurd taking on Roger Bowker. Then in semifinal number 1, we've got a dandy. Jason Couch and Pete Webber will be hooking it up. This is mano a mano on this one. And, of course, Hall of Famer Wayne Webb will take on the winner of our first match, Jason Hurd and Roger Bowker. Let's get to our first match, the wild card match, right off the bat. And Jason Hurd will be up first, the 26-year-old out of Titus, Florida. He is one big man. You talk about a powerful strike ball, Randy Peterson. This is the guy that has it. He doesn't bring it back that far, but when he lets it go, it flies. Yeah,
I call it the snap release. And you're going to take a great look at what he does with the ball at the bottom of the swing. In the words of Bob Uecker, just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside. I guess we can call him our Tony Saragusa of the PBA Tour, can't we?
Well, he's a big, strong man. You know, in high school, he could squat 400 pounds, deadlifted 360 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
He's a real strong man. He's got to keep that backswing down, otherwise he'd throw it right through the masking unit.
And he picks up the spare in the first, a former tennis player in high school. Now we get our first look at Roger Bowker, the 48-year-old out of Ocala, Florida. PBA member since 1976. He has 5 titles to his credit, but his last was in 1998 in Austin, Texas.
Holds a lot of regionals at home, full-time player on tour, 48 years old. Pretty stellar.
Well, first of all, we have to talk about the grip. He's told us that it really came about in 1980. He was about to bowl, somebody talked to him, turned around, just threw it with one hand.
Yeah, and it's just setup. You know, you'll notice that he only keeps one hand on the ball and balances all the weight in his right hand. And what that does is it helps him to get his shoulder, his feet, and his arm going into the direction he wants to throw the ball.
And he's got the spare, so both players open up in the first with spares. Randy, let's take a look at the lane conditions for this afternoon.
31 feet buff to 42. The straighter guys are going to be playing in between the first and second arrow. Problem is, if you miss left or right, you're going to have big problems down the lane. Jason Couch is going to be playing 4th, 5th arrow on the left side. All this is free for Jason Couch. He's our only lefty.
Well, Roger Bowker still looking for that first strike. You know, he has been able to stay outside. A lot of guys have moved in this week. They played where others would not go, and that's been his key. He's been able to stay in a certain part of the lane that's been successful for him.
Well, when the tour oils the lanes real long, or when they go with a real long run, anything past 40 feet, the players don't have free hook to the right. They immediately move in, and then the lanes break down, and they keep chasing the oil pattern left.
Here's Jason Hurd. He had to sit and wait to see if he qualified last night. He said that's the hardest thing for him to do.
The guys with the bigger hook balls, like Jason Hurd, Pete Webber, they're going to play further left. They've got more hand, more hook, so they've got to compensate for that, and they got to get more angle to the pocket. Guys like Wayne Webb, who's kind of a power tweener, Roger Bowker, they were playing further right. Be interesting to see how the lanes break down. If the middle part of the lane caves in, it's going to force the players to the right.
calmly picks up the spare. He had to have Pete Webber win a match in order to get into today's TV finals. Randy, the oil is so much different than when you started out on the tour.
Well, in 1980, we used about 4 or 5 milliliters per lane. That was in 1980. That's back when I started. Today, we use 29.92 milliliters. I mean, it's quite a big difference. The reason why the bowling balls are so much stronger, you got to put more oil on the lane to protect the surface.
There's the first of the afternoon for young Jason Hurd, looking for his first singles title on the PBA Tour.
Also, Ron, getting back to the amount of oil, the balls being so strong, if they didn't put enough oil out, there would be so much friction created, the ball would never get down the lane and hit the pins. It would hook in the left gutter every shot.
And it means so many different adjustments you have to make, too.
Yeah, come on.
Well, he answers the challenge by Jason Hurd. Roger Bowker has an interesting form we were talking about. He has an interesting alignment, too.
Very interesting setup. Look, notice there's only one hand on the ball. Go ahead and freeze frame. What it does is it keeps everything in line. And one thing that Roger Bowker does that's a little unusual in today's game is he walks in the direction he wants to throw the ball. All the guys that throw the big hook, majority of the guys walk to the left. Gives them room to swing the ball underneath their shoulder.
There's 10. Come on. Yeah.
2 in a row for Roger Bowker, who still throws a 16-pound ball.
Get this game over.
You hear what he said? As soon as he let go, there's 10. A player can feel it as soon as the ball leaves his hand. He knows whether it's a good shot or a bad shot. That's the kind of feel that the players on tour have today.
Jason Hurd. Trailing by 10.
Oh,
come on. How important is it for a big guy like this? Because Jason is a large man, shall we say. Footwork seems to be very important in rhythm.
Well, he's got to keep his feet slow and try to stay balanced. By getting too fast early, he's going to have problems balancing and staying posted at the foul line. This ball is just right of target down the lane where the ball's not going to grip the lane.
Well, able to pick up a spare, the man that has won title in doubles with Johnny Petraglia back in 1999, but Jason also won the National Residence Pro Championship in 1997. Right now he trails by 10 pins in the match.
And here's a dilemma a big hook ball player like Jason faces. When the ball gets too far to the right and it doesn't get back, the dilemma is if he squares up just a little bit, the ball has a tendency to go high, hook right through the face.
There you go.
Like that every time. One time. Come on now.
One time it was for Jason Hurd. Still finds himself trailing by 10 in our first match, our wild card match. It's Hurd and Bowker still to come. We have Couch and Pete Webber. Stay with us. And we welcome you back along with Randy Peterson. I'm Ron Thulin, and right now Jason Hurd finds himself in a deep hole. He's down 44 pins. He was open in the 6th. That hurt him. Meanwhile, Roger Bowker, he's working on a 4-pack.
By the way, Ron, you just got a phone call. It was from Bob. We out of baby eats a boy. So just thought you should know that.
You had to get that in, didn't you?
Take a look at Roger Bowker's speed. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. You want to be a star out here on the tour? Try throwing at the same speed every time. Forget about the target. I mean, you can hit the same target or board left or right of the same target. If your speed varies by 1 or 2 miles an hour, your ball reaction...
Well, that was to go up 54 pins, Randy.
Your ball reaction will be completely different. Speed and control. You hear Roger let go of that, and he's just yelling the whole way because this ball is going right through the schnozola. Speed was good. Ball was left of target. Gets the great break, tripping the 4-7 out, only leaving the 10-pin. Nice reaction.
Well, you know, this is a man that has been spending a lot of time practicing at home. He's had to change his game, slowed his speed down.
Got it.
Picks up the spare. His lead continues to grow.
Make some money here.
You know, with this long oil pattern, guys that are the big bangers, and Roger's kind of more of a tweener. He's not a big banger. We can see how he's finished here in the second half of the season. But they have to stay soft, do they not?
Speed has to be soft. And not only that, the players are actually trying to lower their rev rate to keep the ball from having too big of a change of direction down the lane. Roger Bowker's really had to work on getting his speed soft.
That's going to hurt.
Well, it didn't hurry enough, Roger.
Raj.
Yeah, but he's leaving himself, you know, makeable spares. He got that great break, only leaving the 10-pin the frame before. And a little bit of a residue of the shot before that run where he went high and went through the nose. This one he wants to give it a little bit of room. Comes in lightly, he's a 2.45.
Well, he's up by 40. He's on pace for a 2.57. Hurd on pace for only a 2.14. So all he has to do is just continue to mark, and he's going to be all right.
Stay clean, and the match is his.
Well, that helps. In the 8th, with the spare, 244 possibility after 4 in a row, and that's what really opened it up. 4 strikes in the 3rd through the 6th, but the 6th frame for Jason Hurd was just a backbreaker.
And then
left it open.
Yeah, and then he follows it up with a solid 9 in the pocket on the left lane. Right now, his big troubles are on the right lane, right here.
Just can't get that 10 to go down. That is the 2nd time he has left it in this match.
He gets the ball a little bit to the right, and it hangs, it pushes too far down the lane. As soon as he squares up just a pinch, the ball goes high. Ooh, look at that pin come off the sidewall and take the 10 out.
Well, he's in big trouble. Jason Hurd, Roger Bowker is just going to sit and wait right now because he's up by 40 pins. Well, the PBA would like to congratulate Bob Glass on winning his 2nd consecutive Senior PBA Player of the Year award. Glass won 4 senior tournaments last year to bring his career total to 6. And congratulations to our good friend Bob Glass, Player of the Year.
There's something to be said about having strength in the sport of bowling. Bob Glass is a big man, and he's one of the strongest guys I've ever seen. And it just goes to show you what he can do after the age of 50.
Especially if you keep yourself in shape, too.
Well, you know, to be a star on our tour, you have to be in good shape. You have to be strong, especially from the waist down. A lot of legs, a lot of leg drive. That's where all your power is.
Well, Jason thought he got it going in the 3rd with the strike. But since then, he's only had 1 strike. That came in the 5th. He's got 3 in a row as far as spares are concerned going into the 10th. And it's all in this man's court right now. Roger Bowker.
And right now, the way the lanes look, it looks like the straighter you go, the better.
That seems like it puts him in the driver's seat for sure.
That's it. That's it.
Prophetic.
Go over.
He is our winner in the wild card match. He has already sewn this one up, and he will advance to take on Wayne Webb in semifinal number 2. What a way to start, though, for Bowker, Randy.
Well, it's a good start. He's got a game under his belt now. He's going to sit back and contemplate his next match. And, you know, I think the thing that's interesting to note is that these players call shots.
Where's PDW at?
Where's PDW? Bring him on.
He's already issuing the challenge, huh?
They call shots when it leaves their hand. You know, when you're bowling that good, and you can just turn your back on it after it leaves your hand because you know it's dead flush in the 1-3. I mean, that's a nice place to be.
Well, he's won over $650,000 on the PBA Tour. His best year was '88, $65,000.
All right.
Oh, he is on a roll now. His consistency is picking up. He had 4 in a row. Now he's working on 3 in a row, trying to close it out here in the 10th.
Yeah, and the difference in this match, obviously, is the ball reactions. I mean, Roger Bowker's ball reaction is consistent with the way he likes to throw it, and Jason Hurd's ball reaction is bad. You know, a little bit right, it hangs, and that's the worst thing for a power player to see, is when he throws a good shot and gets it a little bit to the right, the ball not getting back to the pocket, because there's nowhere really for him to go from there.
Well, he leaves the 10, but a very excellent match for a man who's been bowling quite well the last 3 weeks. He'll end up with a 243 to start out. Roger Bowker has made it into the semifinals.
3 more.
Just a reminder, the PBA will be in Latham, New York next week for the PBA Empire State Open. That'll be next Sunday at 12:30. Then we head to Erie, Pennsylvania for the PBA Flagship Open. That'll be on the 24th of February, same time, 12:30 Eastern Time. Then, of course, it's the PBA World Championship from Southwick Lanes. That'll be on March the 3rd. First place prize check, $120,000. That is the richest in PBA history. My friend, I hope it's in your pocket.
Well, I do too. I heard you were coming out of retirement for that week.
Retirement of what? Roger Bowker is our winner. He is advanced to the semifinals. We still have our first semifinal match to come. Jason Couch, Pete Weber. You don't want to miss this one. The taunting has already started between the two. We'll be back.
Hey.
And welcome back to Burlington, North Carolina. Along with Randy Peterson, I'm Ron Thulin. As we take a look at the final score, 243-177. Roger Bowker advances to the semifinals. Let's take a look at our Alka-Seltzer brackets and see how things are stacking up, because Bowker will now take on Hall of Famer Wayne Webb in our second semifinal. But up first, it's Couch versus Weber. Let's first of all talk about Roger Bowker. He was walking between the changeover right after that first match. He said, boy, things are tricky.
Yeah, he's fighting a little bit with his game and the ball reaction he's got all week long. He looked for hold, which would be left of his target. Said he's kind of fishing around to find that.
Well, he'll find it in the first match, but our second match, it's been a momentous week, though, for Jason Couch as a whole. He ties Pete Weber as the fastest to get to $1 million in career earnings. Ironically, those two meet each other, but even more ironic, they've never met in a TV final, but they are already taunting each other.
Yeah, they were going back and forth during practice. This is a match every bowling fan wants to see. Pete Weber, the great Pete Weber, you know, all he's done the last two telecasts that he's made is almost bowled near perfection. 299 and 289. Maybe today the third time's a charm.
Well, Jason Couch says he is ready. Bring it on, PDW, and we'll have that coming up for you in just a couple of minutes. Semifinal match number 2, Jason Couch taking on Pete Weber, and of course Wayne Webb and Roger Bowker coming up after that. We'll return to Burlington, North Carolina on the PBA on ESPN right after this. Pete Weber, he has had a successful year so far, winning in Grand Rapids, and Randy, you briefly touched on it a moment ago, almost perfection in that match. He looks sweet.
That's a great reaction for Pete, leaving that 4-pin.
And in Louisville, almost got the 300 again. We were on the edge of the seats. Everybody thought he was on his way to the $10,000 bonus.
That was just a fantastic match against Michael Halligan Jr., 289, 279.
And now he gets a shot at Jason Couch. These two have been waiting for each other. Jason, as you mentioned, telling us last night, you cannot be afraid of PDW.
He said if you're afraid of Pete Weber when you bowl him, he'll be all over you like a raptor on a pork chop, so you better pack a lunch.
Well, Jason, who missed the cut in Dallas last week, first one missed in 2002 and left an incredibly bad taste in his mouth. Came in here with a vengeance. Well, he spun the pin around, just wouldn't go down.
That ball just a little high, leaving the 6-pin. Nice part about this telecast for Jason Couch is he's the only left-hander. He's the only guy that's going to affect the shot or his shot on his side of the lane. So in practice, what he's trying to do is trying to break the lane down, give himself a little bit of room, a little margin for error, not only at the arrows, but down at the break point.
Opens up with a spare, gets the butterflies out. Here's a man that has won 27 titles, including 2 this season. Has won over $2,300,000. Pete Weber, 39 years old, out of St. Anne, Missouri. Was the Rookie of the Year some 22 years ago. Member of the PBA Hall of Fame back in '98, was inducted into that honor. Oh, look out. With the sunglasses on again, it's become his trademark.
You know, the thing about watching Pete Weber bowl is the only thing you look for is whether or not he has a good ball reaction. And if he has a good ball reaction, Pete Weber, I can't remember the last time I saw Pete physically bowl bad or throw it bad. You know, the only time he bowls bad is when his ball is going every which way. And a lot of times, you know, there's just so many adjustments you can make to where it just doesn't matter. But this guy, 9 times out of 10, always shows it good.
Especially on television. Well, Jason has changed his form over the last year, has he not? As Pete's letting us know he's here.
Well, he's worked with his coach, Richard Shockley, on a couple of things. One's lowering his rev rate, and one's not overthrowing it. Take a look in 2001, how the heel of his slide foot is off the ground. Take a look now where it's planted on the ground. What this does is it keeps him from overthrowing and over-revving it, 2 things that he really likes to do.
That's right.
How important was it for him to get that strike with Pete working on 2?
Well, it's real important. You know, Pete's got a double. It's still early in the match, but I think the most important thing is just Jason's ball getting to the 1-2 pocket. You got to have a chance. I mean, you got to have a chance. You got to get your ball into the 1-2. You know, carry is another thing. Obviously, you determine the correct ball in line to play, speed, rotation, revolutions, to enable yourself to strike when your ball does get to the pocket.
You know, 2 weeks ago, we saw him bowl on television. Randy, it was not a good appearance. He was very disappointed in himself.
Well, this ball just cuts right through the heart. One of the things that Jason told me last night was he was going to try to keep his hand under the ball to control the direction, the change of direction down the lane. Watch this ball break real sharp in the back end. And that's not necessarily a bad shot. It's a question of your hand staying under it versus rotating around the side of the ball a half an inch.
Down by 10.
Baby.
Oh, baby! Put it in the books.
Going nowhere.
Oh, that's a statement there. Pete, I'm not going nowhere.
Get aggressive.
I'm not going nowhere. Watch this. This is a great spare.
Come on now.
No open frames. Keeps him the match. It's early still. Pete's working on a double. But you know what? Pete can answer Jason's statement by 2 strikes right here for a 4-bagger.
And if he strikes here, he'll go up by 20.
Don't go anywhere. We're ready for some fireworks here.
Oh, man. I love it.
All right. He gets this next hit. Look out.
Come on now.
Coming right at you.
Great ball
Look at that ball. The rotation of that. Pete Webber release.
This is to go up by 30. The number 2 man on the PBA's all-time money-winning list, trailing older Walter A. Williams. Oh, he got away with one.
What a great break. You heard Pete say when it left his hand that was left. Ball just lays, holds its line, trips the 4-pin. What a phenomenal break when you're working on 3 in a row. Gets the love tap, trip 4, bowler's best friend.
4 in a row now for Pete Webber. Jason must answer here. Come on, come on.
Well, the ball's just not pushing far enough down the lane before it starts to grab hold and turn right.
You know, Randy, but it's a long pattern, and we have seen Jason a lot more comfortable with these longer patterns. He doesn't look that comfortable right now.
Well, Jason's kind of an exception to the rule because most of the left-handers like to play out. They grew up playing out. They like to play the outside line, giving them a better angle. Jason loves to play in, and the long pattern allows that.
3 rec. White take it.
Just a reminder, the PBA National Championship will be coming up in just a couple of weeks. We'll be coming to you from something that Earl Anthony used to own. A record 6 times he won the national championship, and in those 6 years he won $123,000 total. This year's champion, $120,000 for 1 victory. That's at the World Championship at the Southwick Lanes in Toledo, Ohio on March 3rd, 12:30 Eastern Time, right here on ESPN.
They should have named a city in Toledo after Earl. He was so dominant there.
Fans are great up in Toledo, too. Jason got away with one.
Well, Coach Richard Shockley from Kegel Training Center is standing next to me working on the CATS, the computer-aided tracking system. He's done a lot of work with Jason Couch, and he just told me that Jason needs to keep his emotions calm.
Well, you know, that's something you and I have talked about every time we've had Jason on the telecast, that he has to harness that emotion because he does feed off the crowd.
He's got to figure out a way to just stay, and it's really hard because Jason's a high-octane player, gets fired up. He's got to keep his emotions intact.
Well, Pete Webber has been bowling quite well. He just hasn't been winning matches, which is part of the new format. Is Tracy, his wife, just off that trip to Hawaii with Pete for a little R&R, a little honeymoon type action.
Yeah, it must be nice. I didn't get invited.
I went to Philly by myself.
They just got back from Hawaii. Pete said he felt real refreshed. Said he came into this week, you know what, with not real high expectations. Said if he bowled great, fine. If not, no big deal. Use the week for practice and move on to the next tournament. But he also told me last night that he came into this week and he said his timing and release was excellent.
Right. Well, he's up by 29. If you're Jason Couch, you have to say, I haven't bowled all that well. I'm only down by 29.
Right.
1 or 2 mistakes by Pete Webber, and Jason Couch is right back in this.
Well, you know, with the spare here, Pete Webber's going to be going at a 226 pace. Jason Couch can get up and strike in the 6th and 7th and cut the lead to 8 pins.
Then all of a sudden, it's an oxygen test. Is it getting a little thin down here? Now Pete Weber gets the spare, but he is only up by 18 pins. Semifinal number 1, Couch and Weber. This is far from over, my friends. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to Burlington, North Carolina. The PBA Tour is in Burlington, North Carolina here on ESPN, and Jason Couch finds himself down by 28 pins. He is already changing balls coming into the 6th frame, but also during the timeout, Jason tried to correct whatever he was having problems with.
He's looking at the lane, trying to visualize a line that he thinks he can get the ball to the pocket with. He's going to make a ball change. The thing that I don't like is he's the only left-hander on the telecast, and right now he's indecisive about what ball to throw. That tells me that his ball reaction is not quite conducive to what he had all week long or what he was looking at. You can see the frame that he went high was quite a bit left target.
Well, the strike will put him within 18. And he was going to change balls, now he changed his mind.
Every move is high.
See, what he's doing is he's chasing it to the right. Normally on normal conditions, if your ball hooks too much, you move left. You move left if you're a right-hander, you move right if you're a left-hander. And now what's happening is when Jason moves to the right, his ball actually hooks more.
Well, he leaves the 6th open. He had a golden opportunity there. Is he too deep?
Well, I think his move now is taking a ball that doesn't hook as much and moving to his left and playing a much tighter line.
And you can see he joins Pete Weber, 253 tournaments, fastest to a million. You know, and talking to him, said, were you disappointed he didn't break the record? He goes, the record stood for 13 years. I'm just glad to tie a Hall of Famer.
That's a nice record to tie, absolutely.
Yeah.
See, and there's the dilemma. Every shot's going high. He gives that ball more room to the left, throws it a little bit harder, and the ball doesn't make it back.
Now he's down by 42 pins.
This ball is going to be further to the left. Actually, a lot further to the left. Looking at my CAT system here, that was about 3 boards left of the last shot on that lane.
Wow.
The last shot on that lane did go Brooklyn.
Well, he's bowled so well this week. He's averaged in the mid-220s. His timing looked to us last night very, very solid.
Right, yeah, I mean,
hand was soft on the ball. He had all the makings.
Right, and you know, you bowl all week long looking at the lane a certain way, and you come out for one game, and all of a sudden your look's different. You know, Jason's got to make up his mind that when he comes into TV day that he may or may not have what he had all week long, and be, you know, just allow himself to make, you know, the changes and the adjustments he needs to make.
Well, Pete had it right. Well, bowling fans, if you log on right now to PBA.com, you can chat live with Eric Forkel. And if you have a question about today's telecast, leave it in the TV questions section of the community page. And if your question is answered live on the air, you'll receive a PBA prize package. So you can just dial up www.pba.com. Pete Weber up by 52 right now.
Weber in the driver's seat.
42, I should say. If he strikes, he'll be up 52. Now the 10 is pesky for him. Second time he's left the 10 in this match.
He's doing what he needs to do. He's made one errant shot where he went through the nose and left a 3-6-10. Keeping the ball in the pocket. Jason struggling to get the ball to the pocket.
You mentioned it earlier, but Pete looks like he's using more legs this week.
Pete told me he's using a lot more legs, trying to keep his hand underneath it, and he uses more legs to try to stay slower.
Good shot.
Creates more leverage. He can stay a little slower, a little softer. The thing that I really like about Pete Weber is the way he attacks bowling. He does everything subconsciously. He gets a mental picture in his mind of how he wants the ball to go down the lane, and then he just steps up and throws it.
Well, Jason, a big Washington Redskins fan, brings the helmet with him. One of the truly nice gentlemen on this PBA tour. All right, wife Kelly and daughters Courtney and Haley, you can cheer right now. Your daddy got a strike.
See, and to me, that shot there looked like it was a little softer at release, that a little more controlled, a little calmer shot, so he was not snapping on it. You see what his ball's doing on the left lane?
Yeah.
To me, it just looks like it's being overhit, and that's part of Jason's makeup and mentality. He's a high adrenaline, high energy player, and when that happens, he starts to put a lot of stuff on the ball, and he has trouble getting the ball to push down the lane.
Second year in a row, he's been in the finals here in the Tar-Heel Open. This is cut the lead down to 32, and he's not going to do it.
Well, obviously, Jason Couch, a proven winner, future Hall of Famer, and just not the ball reaction that he's had, and he's fighting it.
Now that ball's gone. You know, you talk to every young player on the PBA Tour, and every one of them, bar none, say this man, Jason Couch, has helped them more than anybody. He's taken all the young players under his wing.
Well, he knows a lot about the game, and he knows how to win. He's a winner. The guy gets on TV. He's a winner. The last couple of shows, obviously, not what he's not what he's all about.
Bury him.
Whoa!
Just bury him.
I'm telling you, there's
well,
no holds barred here, gang.
You know what? I'll tell you, Pete Weber, a lot like his father, Dick Weber, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Not today.
That's what we heard in Louisville,
That's
isn't
quite
it?
a statement. But you know, Dick Weber, as great as he was off the lanes, was the nicest guy in the world. And not to say that Pete isn't, but you know, Dick was always joking and laughing and just such a nice guy. But on the lanes, this guy would rip your heart out. Pete's got the exact same deal going when he's bowling in the park.
Now he's bowling for practice because with that strike, he is already our winner. Pete Weber has advanced to the finals here in North Carolina. Roger Vessel, the VP Sales and Marketing of Columbia 300 out of San Antonio. He is right here today, and he gets a chance to be part of the check and trophy presentation a little bit later. Pete's just going to try to close things out here in the 10th, and he's going to do it in classic Pete Weber style. He has got so much confidence right now, Randy.
Well, he's within 2 to 3 inches of his target at the break point, which is about 40-45 feet down the lane.
That's okay. Excellent semifinal for Pete Weber, a 246. He is advanced to the finals. He will take on the winner of our next match. Wayne Webb, Roger Bowker waiting in the wings. Pete will be going after his 28th title. I think that just about sums up the day for Jason Couch, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, again, I can't harp on it enough. The bottom line, Jason's Couch ball reaction is not what he's looking for. It's not what he had all week long. You factor in the emotions going against a Pete Weber, you get all fired up. Jason has got that snap release similar to a Jason Hurd. And when he starts getting fired up, man, the ball starts to V all over the lane.
Well, we started this week with 147 players. It is down to the final 3, and that is one of them. Pete Weber looking for title number 28. Already over $2,300,000. Will he add 40,000 more here in North Carolina? Some of our nation's finest in attendance today here in North Carolina is Pete Weber. Is advanced to the finals, looking for his 3rd win this season, 245 to 182 over Jason Couch. So the Hall of Famer is in the finals already as we take a look at our Alka-Seltzer brackets, because we have one semifinal in the book. Weber will advance to the finals against the winner of our next match, Wayne Webb and Roger Bowker. You know, one of the brightest stars on the PBA Tour is 3-time PBA champion Chris Barnes, former PBA Rookie of the Year in 1998. Chris takes us through proper grip pressure in this week's Pros Approach.
One more time for Chris.
We're here today at the Kegel Training Center in Sebring, Florida. My guest today is the 1998 Rookie of the Year, Chris Barnes. And Chris is going to talk to you a little bit today about the importance of proper grip pressure.
Yeah, you know, Randy, today a lot of the younger kids like to rev it up, but they put the Vulcan death grip on it to do it. You know, they got it and they're yahooing it at the bottom. What I think is really key is being able to keep your hand very soft, about the equivalent of picking a pencil up out of somebody's hand, and then be able to release it. And this keeps your ball reaction more consistent when the lanes aren't quite as easy. When you're grabbing it and the lanes are hooking early, it revs up, and then once it gets through the front, it hydroplanes in the mid lane, and you end up with the big 4 washout reaction, and nobody wants that. So part of that is having a good grip. I actually have a quarter away in my fingers, which a lot of high rev players do, but my thumb is a 16th forward, and it's very snug. And actually, once I get my hand into the ball, I can't get it out without pulling out my fingers first. So this is key for me, and I think this is something that can help a lot of young players.
Great advice from Chris Barnes. You want to make great shots in the heat of battle, keep your grip pressure light.
And welcome back, and with us is Chris Barnes. Chris, good to have you with us for the next couple of frames. What have you seen in the first two matches? Is there something that has stood out about the lane conditions or keeping their hands soft while they're bowling?
Well, talking to some of the players, it sounded like there's a little bit more hook in the middle of the lane today. So the guys with softer hands are liking them more on the fresh. A player like Jason Hurd would have liked him if he'd have got deeper into the matches, but that wasn't to be. So it looks like the Pete Webber's, Bowker's got a great reaction, and Wayne Webb looks good too.
Well, let's get right to bowling. Our second semifinal match. The winner gets to take on the legendary Pete Webber.
I tried that grip pressure thing you were talking about, Chris. Didn't work. Yeah, I got that light grip pressure going. I dropped it on my ankle, and that was the end of it. Oh, you got to have your thumb hold tight, too. That's right. I forgot that part.
There we are. First look at Wayne Webb, the 44-year-old out of Vegas. You know, this, Randy, could, and Chris, this could be one of the great comeback stories this year. This is one of those feel-good stories. A man that got the Hall of Fame, his career kind of hit the skids for a while, making a comeback right now, and boy, everybody's really pulling for Wayne Webb.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that Wayne's on the telecast. It's not like this guy can't bowl. I mean, I think the big thing, Chris, is he's been fighting his game based on bad ball reactions for the last couple of years.
Well, these are two wily veterans here.
Yeah, you know, when I first came out on tour, I hadn't heard much about Wayne for a while, and I was really shocked at how versatile he really was. And it made sense of why he was so good in the 80s. He knows how to play all the tricks, and he just hasn't made enough shows in the last, I don't know, 8 or 10 years to really show everybody just how good he really is still.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this guy can't bowl. He's the Hall of Famer. He's got 20 titles. And the guy's, like you said, he can do a lot with a bowling ball. But here's a guy right now that's doing some pretty good things as well.
Chris, have you ever tried to throw a ball like that with just one hand? that's pretty amazing.
Hey, it's heavy enough with two hands, man. You know?
Voodoo. It's a voodoo action.
Paul Kaler, our statistician, is telling me that Roger Bowker switched balls from his wild card match.
And here's Wayne Webb, 20 career titles to his credit, but his last one in 1997 was Player of the Year 12 years ago, 22 years ago.
You know, it really looks like we have two guys who you think would be past their use-or-buy dates, but they've bowled fantastic this week, and Roger's been bowling really well this whole swing.
Well, I think it's a credit to their abilities. When the lanes get a little tricky and they get tough, you know, you don't necessarily have to stand next to the ball return and peel it over the 5th or 6th arrow, you know, out to 10 and back. These guys keep the ball in play. They keep it on line. They kind of go from point A to point B in a pretty straight line.
Oh, he bought a lucky one. Let's go back to Vegas, Mr. Webb.
How about that trip 4 there? But, you know, that shot there did look like he got a little bit of hand in it. Watch this ball right over the 3rd arrow. It's going to drift high. And this is a bowler's best friend we said in the last match.
The trip 4. A little cagey veteran move.
That's right. He planned it that way. And here's Roger Bowker. Strike to get even with Wayne Webb. And he does.
I tell you what, these two guys over history have made good on their chances on the TV show.
That's right. You know,
I got him. He's shorter than I am.
Not by much, though, Roger. You know, Roger was telling us last night, we said, how do you feel? He goes, my hands hurt, my knee is throbbing. But I knew in practice that this could be a great week for me.
It kind of reminds me of the new show we have on ESPN. We're fat, we're bald, we're old. Roger, you're right there.
It didn't hold.
But you know what? He may be all that, but he's still really good.
And you notice when Roger does make bad shots, most of the time it's because he falls off them. And lots of times he'll thumb down them, and his rev rate will go down, and he'll still go high flush, but occasionally he comes right over the top and gets balls left to target. And that's what's happened here. A little bit less hold today.
Well, we said on the camera that's what Roger mentioned to Ron and I when he was passing by after his match. That's what he looks for. You know, the guy that goes straight looks for hold, and the guy that throws the big ball looks for the right area.
Once again, at the bottom of your screen, Brian Voss, 225 average. This is how they wound up this week. Good week for Steve Wilson.
What a great match.
Chris, we still haven't seen your name.
Wait, Chris, where's Chris? No. We'll just take a week off?
I think my name will be a little bit before yours this week.
And wait a minute.
Touche.
And you made how much money?
But we still got paid the same.
That's exactly right. Wow, that was a nice dig. Thanks, Chris.
I'm not going to say what Randy shot this week, but if he was golfing, he would have gotten out of the cart over 100 times.
Well, what? Oh, no.
I'm just kidding.
All right, with a spare there, Wayne Webb makes it a one-pin match.
That was my whole goal up here today, was talk less about golf than the guy that was up here before.
Well, okay, whatever. All right, back to the match now. Wayne Webb keeping the ball in play. 3 strikes in a row for him and a 9 spare. Leads by 1.
You see Wayne's actually going around him a little bit more, and they seem to be opening up. He's short but powerful.
Yeah, short but powerful.
And he is using some of that power more than Roger is, going around him, and that spot that Roger's burning up there seems to be developing for Wayne.
Right. Right of where Jason Hurd was, left of where Roger Bowker is.
You're right, Chris. When he's more balanced, it's obviously a much better shot.
There's my hold.
Right now, Roger Bowker's trying to pardon this information.
And he's at the interruption.
Your interruption. Right.
Now, Roger Bowker has gone up by 11 with Wayne Webb. The winner advances to the finals and a shot at the $40,000 first place prize check. We'll return to Burlington, North Carolina on ESPN right after this.
I might be short, but I'm powerful.
Well, we are all even in semifinal number 2. Wayne Webb, Roger Bowker. Chris Barnes is in the booth joining Randy Peterson and me. We're glad you're with us today, Chris, as we take a look at Bowker. Now, Wayne Webb had the spare in the 7th. Now it gives Bowker a chance to go up by 10 if he strikes.
Yeah, but he's solid 8. Left a solid 8 on a double.
There's another good shot by Roger, and from here on out, you'll see a lot of the high hard one.
Yeah, you know, when it comes down to crunch time and you need somebody to throw a shot for you for the week,
old, but we're right to the point.
the high hard one is the one to throw.
How important is it, though, for guys, for Roger to get those hips in? Make sure they're back in line, because he's had some problems trying to get the hips in line when he throws the ball.
Well, I think that's part of when he was trying to make changes in his game to combat the conditions and trying to go around it more. Now he's playing more of his A game, kind of going straight. What a huge break. Wayne Webb leaves a solid 8 on that lane. Roger Bowker comes back and trips the 4 for a 20-pin lead.
Break.
That's what you need, though.
You heard him say it. He looked right back at us and said break. 13th board, that's at the arrows, about 15 feet from the foul line, 20 miles an hour.
It's about a board and a half instead of what he was trying to hit.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
Answers the challenge, guys.
Sorry, Ron. You got to be really impressed with the shots that Wayne Webb's making. It's been a long time since he's been on TV, and he's just making great shots.
After a couple of months of missing shows, you get unused to the feelings that happen on TV, and it's been over 2 years since he's made a show, and it looks like he was there yesterday.
Right.
Well, this is the guy that in the 80s they called him the Green Machine because he cashed just about every week. The English didn't help.
That was very good.
Well, it was a bad shot. You heard him say it. It was a bad shot. The ball was left to target.
I'm going to pick up what you said, Chris, about not being on the telecast. You know, he worked his whole life to be a pro bowler. A couple of years ago, he lost his desire. He had to get the desire back. The talent never left him, but the desire did.
Absolutely. The desire, the work ethic, that's all part of it.
Well, Wayne Webb right now finds himself in a small hole, but let's take a look at our Dexter footwork of the pros for this week.
My Dexter solution this week was a number 2 heel with the number 8 sole. I consider myself a power tweener. I don't like to slide a lot on synthetic approaches, so I use the rippled heel to create better balance and better leverage.
Roger Bowker with another strike, but what is a power tweener, guys?
Well, Chris, my version of a power tweener is a guy that doesn't hook it a lot, but doesn't go real straight. He's kind of in between, can do a little bit of both.
Has real heavy revs, but doesn't read the front of the lane as much. You know, Steve Wilson is that type of player. Pete is that type of player, too.
I think Pete has the ability, though, at times to hook the lane from gutter to gutter or throw it on a frozen rope.
Absolutely. He's probably got a little more range of versatility than even Wayne does, but Wayne is very versatile in his own right.
6 in a row.
Oh!
Trying to talk to it.
These guys are both having a little bit of trouble on this left lane. It seems like it's picking up a little bit earlier, and they're fighting to keep it off the hit.
So what's the move, Chris? What's the move then? If you're out there, you see the left lane starting to break down a little bit. What do you do?
If it's me, I just move in, probably aboard right now, just a 1-and-1, and try and catch a little bit more in the front, save a little bit more energy for the back of the lane.
Even with despair, Roger Bowker has advanced to the finals. He is the winner of semifinal number 1. Wayne Webb, an excellent match, but he finds himself in too big of a hole, and he's run out of time.
Well, that big solid 8 in the 7th frame. Otherwise, he's going at a 250 pace. He could strike out to actually beat Roger by a pin if Roger strikes on his fill shot here. So that was the turning point in the match, the way I see it. Big solid 8, 7th frame.
Roger Bowker, who hasn't won since 1998 in Austin, has a chance to remedy that, but he has to beat a Hall of Famer to do it.
Chris, the way you see it, Roger Bowker.
Two down, 1 to go.
PDW time. The way you see it, who do you give the edge to in the title match, Pete or Roger Bowker?
Well, Pete is both so good on TV this year. Even as good as Roger looks right now, it's hard to bet against Pete.
Pete will be going after title number 3. Wayne Webb, still, hopefully, this will be the sign of things to come for Wayne Webb, that he comes back on the tour full time and gets back to where we all used to enjoy him back in the 80s. Hopefully this is a confidence builder for him, guys.
Well, I think it has to be. I think he's got to take this, build on it, go to the next week, and just take this experience with him. And, you know, the big thing about Wayne is he lost that feeling of being somebody, of being a player. And I think he got that back this week.
Well, he's been playing his A game this week, and hopefully it'll stay that way. But our winner, Roger Bowker. Chris, thanks for spending some time with us, my friend.
Well, thank you.
Give the best to your wife.
Absolutely. I'd like to say hi to her and all my friends at She's visiting this weekend.
All right. Chris Barnes has been our guest. We have the finals. $40,000 first place prize check on the line. Roger Bowker. Can he defeat the Hall of Famer, PDW? Pete Weber. Bowker for the finals. Next. The PBA Columbia 300 Tar Heel Open, it has come down to 2 players. One of them, Pete Weber. He defeated Jason Couch. And our other finalist, Roger Bowker. He defeated Wayne Webb. He has won 2 matches already. Final count of match number 2, 257 to 228 over Wayne Webb, as we take a look at our Alka-Seltzer brackets. Well, with his win in this year's PBA Johnny Petraglia Open, Danny Wiseman has won titles in 2 consecutive years. But who is Danny Wiseman? Well, let's meet this Baltimore, Maryland native as he answers our 10 questions.
I like very aggressive, heavy music, going way back to the early 80s with Metallica when they first came out, been into them forever. Nowadays, you know, you got Godsmack and Creed and System of a Down, Slipknot, all that fun stuff. I saw Creed before they really exploded into the mainstream, and let me tell you what, they were unbelievable. The show, the lights, everything was right on. Only one time did I ever do so-called karaoke with a friend's band back home. I got up and sang a song. I was so nervous. It was worse than getting up and bowling in front of millions of people. I actually go into a lot of car sites, especially about Mustangs, since I'm modifying my 96 Mystic Cobra. I look and see what's out there, and I try to find it, on the internet, and it takes up a lot of time. In Japan, even though it was bowling related, I love going to that country. The people are just great to us. It's a different culture. They just treat us like gods, like we're athletes, and they respect our abilities. You see a few of the shows where that bungee cord snaps and the guy falls to his head. I'm not going there. Thanksgiving, of course, with the family, and the same thing with Christmas. You get to spend time with your loved ones, and I think that's very important nowadays. My mom, there's been so many things that's happened through the years that she has just been there, and she's my hero. My first car was a Chevrolet Chevette. So I had a vet. Live each day to the fullest. You never know when it's your time. And you have to go one day at a time.
One final match remaining. He has won 27 titles. Will it be 28? He has won 5. Will it be 6? It's Webber and Bowker for $40,000. We'll have the final right after this from North Carolina. Pete Webber is already in the Hall of Fame. Roger Bowker wants to get to the Hall of Fame. He knows he has to take advantage of every opportunity, and he gets an opportunity right now. But what an opportunity, going against one of the Bulldog competitors on the PBA Tour who doesn't back down to anybody. And that is the trophy, along with a $40,000 check that will be handed over to the winner of this match, Roger Bowker, the 48-year-old from Ocala, Florida. What a great run he has had. Beat Danny Wiseman, Steve Wilson, Parker Bone, the third to get on television. Now he has to beat another Hall of Famer. That was probably the worst shot we've seen.
Yeah, and an interesting point that Chris made when he was with us here in the booth, that the left lane looked like it was changing a little bit. It looked like it was breaking down. That ball looked like it was left of target. Whether or not, Roger's trying to play it that tight, that ball went right through the face, leaving the 3-6-9-10. The problem with the spare is converting or covering the back pin, the 9 pin.
And he leaves the 10.
And not the thing that you want to do, the title match against a guy like Pete Webber.
Oh, yeah.
But, we talk about this each and every week on tour. That spare, that particular spare, the 3-6-9-10, being the most difficult non-split to make on the tour.
Well, we can see what Pete did.
I'm sorry, because of the lane conditions.
Pete defeating Jason Couch. Holds so well. Oh, the 10 listened to him.
That's a hit. That's a hit that you'll never see. Stone 10. Watch this ball. It's going to drift just a pinch high. Ball's just about dead flush and almost leaves a stone 10. That's not a ringing 10 or a weak 10. I don't know what you call that.
Well, it's a 10 with ears. Because he heard what Pete said and it went down. He was scared. Two in a row now for Pete Webber, looking for his third title. Wife Tracy looking on. The season-ending battle at Little Creek begins March 12th. Once again, your vote will determine the final player in this limited 32-man field. The winner of the Week 1 online voting was George Branham III. This week, there are 5 new pros on the ballot, and you can cast your vote by logging on to PBA.com, selecting the news category, then clicking on Geico Direct Battle Ballot. And I want to throw a plug in. Please vote for Paul Kaler.
Paul Kaler, our statistician, wants you to vote for him. I can't say anything because the players will think I'm showing favoritism, but you can.
I can. Vote for Paul Kaler this week, folks. Here's the prize money breakdown for this week. 20 goes to the loser of this match. 10 for third place as they tie. 5th place, Jason Hurd, $9,000.
Ball change on the left lane.
And it works.
Well, I'll tell you what, Roger's really taking advantage of some of those 4 pins. That's the second or third trip 4 he's had today. Ball change so that he could stay far enough right. He went to a ball that doesn't hook as much. He wants to keep that outside or that straighter line going between the second and third arrow. He keeps throwing the ball that hooks more. He forces him left. Now he has to start playing more of a Pete Webber game. Obviously not a strong suit.
Oh, my.
That's not a good break there. That's not a good break.
And that's an understatement.
You heard him say when the ball left his hand, he goes, uh-oh. He knew the ball was right. But this ball gets back, and this is a terrible break.
Well, try to flip it. Jason Couch was telling us last night the lane conditions coming in. If you hung it out, it wasn't coming back. His started to come back.
His did get back.
Yeah.
I mean, it got back into the pocket, and 9 times out of 10 that ball strikes, or you're going to leave, you're going to leave yourself a 9-pin spare to make, either the 7-pin or the 10-pin. But when you leave both, that's a little hard pill to swallow.
Now you see the season earnings there. If he wins, he will move up to 2nd place in the earnings for the 2001-2002 season, trailing Parker Bohm III. He has lost only 2 games in match play, and those are probably the 2 most the strangest shots we have seen this week from Pete Weber.
Well, this left lane is the one that Pete left all the 10 pins on in his previous match. At least this one he can make. The shot on the right lane is a pretty tough spare to make.
Roger Bowker trying to go up by 13 with a strike. On a double. Yeah. Give him a triple. Well, as I mentioned earlier on our telecast, our viewers have an opportunity to leave a question on the PBA website and have it answered on the air. This week's question comes to us from Sean Robinson of Anchorage, Alaska. Sean wants to know, what is the average week-to-week cost for a PBA player to be out on the tour? If you eat like Randy, it is a lot, my friends.
Oh, we could have fun with that question.
We're going to keep it clean.
Let's watch Roger throw a shot here real quick.
He's feeling confident, just can't get it to go. How about an answer, Randy?
Okay, well, it's $400 entry fee, and then depending on your travel, the way you travel, whether you're flying and renting cars every week, or if you're traveling with somebody who has a vehicle and you're driving from stop to stop, on the average, I think it's going to run you about $1,000 to $1,400 a week.
And if you don't win, you don't get paid.
If you don't perform, you don't get paid.
It is a difficult life on the tour.
That's why it's really interesting to note that our players, if they have a bad week, don't get paid. If a baseball player gets up and goes 0 for 3 at the plate, guess what? He's still collecting a paycheck.
That's right.
So you want to talk about pressure. Get up in the 10th frame needing a double to make that first cut, to know that you're going to at least cash that week. That's pressure.
And what makes it so impressive is Pete Weber, 11 tournaments he's entered. He's made the cut every week. He's the only pro in the top 32 all events.
All
Very
events
impressive.
that he's bowled.
All events he's bowled. Oh, that'll help a little bit. He comes into that 5th frame trailing by 12 pins to Roger Bowker. Number 9 in the PBA World Point rankings for this year. Had a great attitude the whole week, Randy. He said, if I bowl well, great. If I bowl bad, so be it. His attitude is translated to a comfortable factor on the lanes.
Well, you know what? In my opinion, it's easy to have a good attitude when you throw the ball as good as this guy. I mean, I'd be the happiest guy in the world if I could throw it like Pete Weber week in and week out.
2 in a row. Randy's got it. Pete Weber jumps right back into it. He is only trailing by 2 pins in our final. Roger Bowker will be up in the 6th when we come back to North Carolina. PBA Tour on ESPN. We're halfway through our finals in North Carolina. And, of course, each and every week we try to update you on the amateurs that were part of the tournament. And Chico Valenzuela, he was the best amateur, averaged 192, a little bit less than his league average. Tony Money didn't make a whole lot of that. Had a 170 average. And Chico Valenzuela is also the proprietor here of the Country Club Lanes West. We'll be talking with Chico. What a great guy.
State-of-the-art facility, Ron, 60,000 square feet. Oh, only a cool $6 million center.
Yeah, not too bad.
I gotta plug the one other am, John Prokopek.
Yes.
John, take 2 weeks off and then quit. No, I'm kidding. my buddy John.
It's a little different for the amateurs when they come out here.
Just kidding. And here's a guy that there's no joking around right now.
Strike to maintain the 2-pin lead. Come on. Well, that's the first time we've seen him struggle. The left lane seems to be giving both players some problems.
Well, the left lane is the issue, not the right lane. But you saw what Roger did when he came back from that shot. He was twisting his hand around in kind of a semicircle. That means that he turned the ball early. And when you turn the ball early, your hand rotates around too soon. The ball always wants to go left.
Now, he has low revs. Does that cause him problems?
Well, it does when they're long, when the lanes when the oil length is long.
Oh my!
And that's something that you rarely see.
Do that again on a bet.
You know what? That is his third single pin spare conversion he missed this week.
That is amazing.
Everybody else pretty much perfect. That is number 3 for him, and it has opened the door for Pete Weber. And the problems he's had on the left lanes, though.
Well, you know, something that you don't see a whole lot is a straight player missing single pin spares, but here's the left lane action. And he's playing the left lane about 3 to 4 boards deeper than he is the right lane. He switches ball, it still goes high. And this ball's another.
That's live action, and I'll tell you what, the door is really open now for Pete
Beautiful
Weber.
lane there.
Well, again, you hear him say he's struggling.
Didn't hook early.
He's got early hook on that lane, drifting high, leaving the 4-pin. This one, he tries to increase his ball speed. The ball never grabs the lane. Massive deflection, leaving the 8-10.
Well, he was up by 13 in the 4th. Now he's down by 11. And that prayer is not going to be answered.
Pete Weber takes the lead, sitting on the bench. Due to 2 open frames.
By 22 now. And I tell you, you bowl somebody like Pete Weber, you go open 2 frames, look out. You're going to see some emotion now.
He's going to hand it to you.
Strike to go up 32 pins.
He knows what he has to do, and he knows the situation. This is not this is no time to not be striking when your opponent gives you back-to-back open frames. Pete takes full advantage of it. Back in that double up with another strike, 3-bagger, 32-pin lead, 8th frame.
Come on. Well, I'll tell you, he's come on strong now, up by 32.
Oh, boy, he came right out of that shot.
Give it to me, yeah!
What an unbelievable ball reaction Pete Weber has. Looked like he flinched when he got to the foul line. That ball flips back. It goes dead flush.
Damn right.
That's just pure talent. And he was able to do that. The concentration of the Hall of Famer. Well, Roger Bowker in a big hole. 42 pins. He's got his work cut out for him, though. Possible 256 for Pete. Possible 214 for Roger Bowker. You know, Roger Bowker was talking to us last night. Something that we talked with Brian Voss about is the opportunities for players like Roger Bowker at the age of 48. They don't come too often. He has to take advantage of it. And that's something Brian told us, too. Roger, very realistic about it.
Well, Pete Weber can strike out for 256. Roger Bowker can only strike out for 214. And right now, he needs a little help. Pete's going at a 226 pace. Roger Bowker strikes out, 214. He needs another blowout 710 like Pete left in the 3rd frame.
Well, Pete knows what he has to do. He's got 4 in a row.
He also knows that a strike here, he's a winner.
Throws it out. The door is open just a crack.
Well, needs a spare here first, and then he needs to mark in the 10th frame. You know, the last 2 shots looked a little suspect. That ball looked a little bit fast. Let me take a look at the velocity thing here. The CAT system, so-so, it's about the same.
Picks up the spare. Now he just needs to mark in the 10th, and Pete Weber will have his 28th title, his 3rd this season. First since Louisville.
Any kind of mark, strike or spare, Pete's a winner.
He can go back to Hawaii then with the money, huh?
You know, it's funny because his wife Tracy was saying, well, let's see, if I go to Hawaii every other week and Pete wins every other week, how much money can we make?
You'll break even. Money you spend in Hawaii. Oh,
door is wide open.
Got to be kidding.
Lost count.
All he needed was a mark, and he's made it difficult for himself.
The only difference in that shot was it was 2 boards right of target.
Really?
Caught too much of the lane.
Really? Oh, cow.
You have to get the ball the right side of the 3-pin, throw the 3 over into the 4-7, the ball will take the 6-10 out. Pete's one of the best at making this split.
I told you he was one of the best at making this. You couldn't draw it up any more perfect.
Needs 5 pins to win. Watch this ball get to the right of the 3-pin. The 3-pin's going to go over the 4-7.
What a shot. Now he needs 5 for the win.
That's the winner. It is PDW. That is right. Yeah. Right on. Give it up. Give it up. How about that for winning? Take that.
Unbelievable finish for Pete Weber. And even his wife started to back off on the high fives.
Right.
Tracy didn't want a piece of that. She was backing off. Great reaction by Tracy up above.
He leaves that big split. You're like, oh, God, here it goes. It's really going to turn on. I told you, he is so good at making those kind of splits. He leaves a lot of them because of his back-end reaction and cutting through the heart of the head pin like that. But you know what? He's really good at making them.
218 for Pete Weber. Roger Bowker has bowled so well this whole week. We don't want to overshadow the job that he and Wayne Webb and the rest of our finalists have done. Roger working on 3 in a row now, but just trying to close out the string. He'll get the $20,000 first place prize check. But it was Pete Weber's week, no doubt about it. Now Roger's getting the breaks.
Well, you know, you really have to tip your hat to Roger Bowker, 48 years old, doing what he's done this week. He's still a great competitor, a great player. He takes pride in his bowling.
Well, he just got hurt, Randy, in the 6th to 7th. He leave 2 open frames. That killed him, especially the 7th. Missed the single pin conversion.
Missed the spare, and then he leaves the 8-10, the pocket 8-10. I think it's a credit to his ability making the show on a condition that's not real suitable for him.
Well, he's only going to end up losing by 4 pins, 218 to 214. But Pete Weber, his 28th career title, 3rd this season, and a $40,000 first place check. Trophy that's going to be handed out. Roger Bowker 5 in a row to end things up, but he falls 4 pins short, 218 to 214. Pete Weber, the champion of the PBA Columbia 300 Tar Heel Open. What a champion Pete Weber is in the all-time championship list. You can see he has moved up now to number 4, tying Parker Bone III, each with 28. Now they're chasing Walter Ray Williams, Mark Roth, and Earl Anthony. And the winner is with Randy right now.
Pete, what an exciting match. You really made it interesting there in the 10th frame when all you needed was a mark. Tell us what went through your mind.
Well, I thought I threw it really good, Randy. I mean, it came off my hand. It got to the point on the lane that I wanted it to get to. I guess maybe I was a little slow with the speed, but, I came back and made the spare, and that was the difference.
Well, it was a great spare, and I told Ron, he's great at making the splits, and sure enough, you went out and you made it like it was shooting a 10-pin.
Well, I do have my share of shooting that spare, so I've had a lot of practice at it, and fortunately that was the first time this week that I made it, so I'm just happy that I made it. And thanks Columbia for sponsoring the tournament. Thanks Storm for letting me have the bowling balls to win with.
Pete, congratulations. Ron, back to you.
All right, thanks. Just a reminder, we'll be at the Empire State Open in Latham, New York next week. Coming up next on ESPN, it'll be Davis Cup Tennis. For Randy Peterson, I'm Ron Thulin. Thanks for watching, and this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.